Dobry day.
Zdravejte.
And welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
Here we are, rapidly approaching the end of November, and it's got cold.
Yeah, temperatures really dropped this week, and also we had a couple of days of rain.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And one of them, when was it? Monday? It was all day. Rain all day.
Yeah.
Or Tuesday, I can't remember.
Well, the wet day.
The wet day. Which didn't help when we were ferrying lots of mud around, but...
No, but you kind of work with what you got, don't you? So, but we've got the really cold temperatures coming. I think over the weekend we do our first freezing or below freezing temperature overnight.
Yeah, Saturday night, I think.
So make sure if you're out here that you've winterised your pipes and your outside taps and things like that.
And your water meter.
Yep, and your water meter. They'll charge you if that breaks. So
because it's on your property, it's your fault.
Yeah, you should have known better. This week, of course, we've continued working on the family room. It's been quite a busy week really in there, and this is what we've been doing. Now that we have everything filled that we're going to fill on the walls and the ceiling, it's time to give it a light sanding just to prepare it for the paint. What we'll actually do is we'll lightly sand the walls, brush them down, and then bond them with a PVA mix before we put the paint on. That gives it the best chance of the paint sticking to the walls and giving us a nice finish. I've tried several ways of sanding these walls. I've used electric sanders, but the problem with those is the amount of dust that they throw up in the air. It gets to the point where you can't actually breathe the air properly without a respirator, and I don't really want to be wearing one of those. So I'm going to do it by hand. It gives me a chance to see just how long it's going to take. If it's too long, I'll put the respirator on and go with the machine. Well, that's the sanding done. Now you can see why I don't like these jobs. Look at the state of me. Oh well. PVA next. So now the wall's sanded, this is what it looks like around the sockets. With a coat of paint, it'll be quite a nice finish. So that's my next job, is to PVA the walls, and then I can start painting. As I've previously mentioned, we will be putting coving around the top. So I don't have to be too thorough with the sanding at the very top edge. But it's not come out too badly. And finally, all the cables are channeled in and covered over. Now, as any of our regular viewers will know, we do have a tendency to change the order in which we're going to do things. I was going to be priming the walls and then painting them, but we decided it's a much messier job taking up the floor. Do we want to do that with freshly painted walls? The other thing is there may be some damage caused by removing the skirting board on the floor, which we will then need to make good. So there's no point painting until that's done. So my next job now is the floor, and stage one of that is removing the skirting boards. You can see the way the skirting boards were held to the wall. A wedge of wood was hammered into the wall, and the skirting board was then nailed to that wedge of wood. It's a system that works well, and I will probably choose to copy when I put new skirting boards back. My first job with taking the floor up is finding out where the beams are. I've measured from the cellar, but the only real way of knowing is to drill a hole, or a series of holes, to locate the beams. So that's what I'm going to do. Even though I drilled holes to find out where the beams are, this is what I've got in the cellar on the ceiling. And it's a similar thing to the ceiling above our room where you've got these bits of wood that run across between the beams. So I'm going to go in from the top, cut out a section, have a look and see exactly what's there, find out how this floor is constructed before I take it apart. Now that I know exactly where the beams are, I can cut myself a little hatchway, which I'll do with a circular saw, lift that out and see exactly what's underneath it. As expected, there's a layer of dirt and mud between the floorboards and those boards in the cellar ceiling. So I've got to dig those out, see how much dirt there is, and then see what the next step is. So there we have it. That's a hole in the floor going through to the cellar. We had between 1.5 inches and 2 inches of dirt and mud before we hit the wood that was supporting it. The wood's just, as suspected, on some battens either side of the hole. That lifted out, it's not nailed in, it was just literally placed in. So once I've got the floorboards up, clearing the rest of the floor shouldn't be too tricky. The difficult thing is getting up the floorboards. So we've got some of the floorboards up now. You can see where the joists are, or the beams are. You can also see where it's filled between them with the dirt. I've taken a few out as you saw earlier. But the plan is to get the floorboards up. We've been a bit hampered by the weather. I know I'm working indoors, but all the dirt's got to be taken outdoors and put where we're putting the dirt. And it's a bit muddy, so we're going to kind of slightly rearrange the order, get the floorboards up. Maybe store it in the corridor until it's drier, we can get rid of that. But I'll just progress taking up these floorboards and we'll see where we end up. I'm 3/4 through lifting up the floorboards. I've decided to leave a strip in the middle for me to work from. I can use that as a support while I'm digging out the dirt around either side. And once that's clear and I've taken everything out of there, I can then take the middle. There is a plan to lay a board of OSB across the beams once I've cleared the dirt and stuff away, so I can work on the middle. We'll see how well that works, but in the meantime, I've got a bit of clearing up to do. We've now removed the dirt and the boards that were between the beams, both on this side of the room and by the window. The next thing to do is get a bit of OSB to cover the hole, and then I can start working on this little centre part that I've left. So I now have a temporary floor that I can stand on while I remove the last of the floorboards. We're removing the last of the floorboards, but once again time has beaten us. So I'll finish this floor off and move on to the next stages next week. So we've removed an awful lot of dirt out of that room. But as well as the dirt, there's also been wood, scrap wood and some quite rotted wood. The rotted wood, Max was in charge of the bonfire yesterday, so He burnt all the rotten stuff.
Yeah, your burn barrel came back into
Oh yes.
use. It also gave us a little bit more wood for the petchkas.
Yes, anything we decided that couldn't really be used anywhere else, we've decided to put in a pile ready for burning.
Yeah, we had lots of little wooden shivs, didn't we, to make they'd used to make the floor level.
Yes, as you could see in the video, the beams, they're not square beams as we used to. They are the usual Bulgarian bits of tree.
Yeah.
So
Still quite solid though here, some of them.
some of them, although we think the woodworm's got into some of it.
There's definitely a bit of woodworm, but I think we'll have to wait till the floor's completely down to see just how bad it all is. But I think Adam wants to replace it all because I think he thinks it'll be easier laying floors on square beams rather than on top of those round ones, having seen the amount of wood they'd used to shim in places.
And I think I'm right.
But we shall see. If the oak is good though, we will keep it and use it for another project. We've got our summer kitchen next year. So
yes, we want to make some of that look a bit rustic. So, that is our watchword.
So we're going to have a day off tomorrow.
Yes, a break from ripping up floors and taking out dirt. We're off to Palamarza.
Yeah, it's their second trading day.
It is, yes.
In the village of Palamarza, so we'll go along, see what's there. We're going to hopefully meet up with some friends.
And I think everybody there should have a good time.
The weather is supposed to be sunny tomorrow, so that's good.
So fingers crossed.
Cold but sunny.
So wrap up warm if you're coming along, and we'll see you there.
But I do think they have got some inside.
There is.
Tables.
If the weather turns particularly bad, but they probably use the inside ones as well. We'll find out when we get there, won't we?
Yeah.
So I think we're probably about there for this week.
Yeah, just a busy week getting on with the floor.
Yeah, I was still hopefully meeting my Christmas deadline.
Or for the living room.
For the dining room, certainly, yeah.
Well, I think that's about it for this week.
I believe it is. So until next week.
Stay safe.
Stay well.
Do skoro.
Do skoro.